Okay, so firstly for this twirl, in the left hand it actually is the Bullet Twirl, or Bullet by Andre Gique. I recommend you already learn that first. It's in his Genesis, I think. I'm just going to give you a quick overview now, but if you'd like a better tutorial, I suggest you look somewhere else or buy Genesis by Andre Gique. So it's basically like this. You push the top card forward with your thumb just a little bit. With your first finger you pull down on that card so that it's underneath the deck like this. Then come over with your second finger, and your first finger pushes against your second finger, kind of takes it into grip in between your second and middle finger. You then turn your first finger over your second finger like that and push it round with your second finger onto the top of the deck. And you do this you move your wrist like that as you do it. So you pull down, you go into the pinch, and then you turn your hand face down as you move your finger around your second finger. You turn your hand face down, which sort of creates the illusion of it being a bigger movement than it actually is. It looks like the card kind of spins 360. Put it back onto the top of the deck with your second finger, then grab it with your thumb, and I just slide it to the bottom of the deck like that. Okay, so you're gonna wanna practice that by itself. And like I said before, if you can't get the sort of grasp from this tutorial, somebody else probably has done a tutorial on it, or go by Genesis. So that's what happens in the left hand, but most of this flourish is kind of what happens in the right hand. So let's get into that now. You take a card from the deck in this kind of grip with your thumb on top and your four fingers on the back. I curl my first finger under and my second finger over like this, and this is actually a flourish flicker, I think, by the Verts, and there's a tutorial for that on YouTube already that the Verts made themselves, so you can go check that out. So it starts off with flicker, okay, and I'm just going to give you a brief tutorial on that now. So you've got your card like this. First finger curls around and your second finger goes over the back of it like that. You then pull down with the second finger and stretch the card out like that. Okay, as you stretch that card out, you turn your hand face down. Okay, so it looks like that. You pinch it and you turn it like that. Okay, there's actually no like spinning really going on here. You literally just straighten your hand out with your middle finger on top, so like that. From here you then curl your first finger around like that, and then that's kind of where the tutorial goes into my own flourish. So you start off with flicker, but you carry on the movement. So you bring your second finger round, your first finger on top, and you grab it with your third finger, release it with your first finger, and repeat that movement again of sliding it around the card. And then with your little finger, you again do the same. So the card's now in this position. Okay, so you're going to want to just practice that again by itself, just so you can get that smoothly. Something I would say about card twirls, it's all in the fingertips right at the end. You're not, like this. It's right in the fingertips. But card twirling is something that takes a very long time. I remember when I first started card twirling, I'm doing my left hand so you can see it. Actually, it was worse than that. But it looks really bad and it feels really awkward, and you don't understand why when you look at a video of somebody else doing it, it looks really good. I'm not saying that I'm really good, but when I look at a video of somebody else doing a card twirl, say I'll think it'll look really good and flowy, and then when I do it, it didn't look as good. But it really, really is just practice. You just got to keep doing it, 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 and keep doing it, and keep doing it until you got it. So do this movement, grab it with your third finger, grab it with your little finger, and spin your pinky finger around underneath your third finger so the cards face up in your hand like this. Cards face up here. Then what you do is you put your middle finger on top of the card, and your thumb, you take it with your thumb, so it's pinched like that, and you slide it around your middle finger with your thumb, okay? Like that. From here, you push it back over with your first finger to your third finger and to your pinky finger again, which leaves it in this kind of pinch, so it's face up. And the reason you have to do that, you have to miss out your first finger, is so the card is face up now and you're ready to do the throw and drop it. Okay, so the throw is just this kind of action. You just have it pinched in between your pinky finger and your third finger, and you literally just uncurl your fingers and release the card at the right point. And if you force it more, you can get a really good spin on it. It's really hard to keep this in within the camera, but I'll try my best to show you without dropping many cards. So you can make the card, you know, have a really good spin on it, or you can make it go really far, or you can make it go that way. This is a very controllable spin, yeah? It'll do whatever you want it to do. Again, you're just going to have to practice with it to find out how to throw it to get it to go sort of where you want it to go. But it's just that movement, it's just uncurl your fingers and just throw it. It's actually really, really easy. It's as easy as it looks. You just throw it and it puts this nice spin on it, and because the card spins through the air, it kind of grabs the air, sort of like a paper airplane or something, and it'll just spin and has loads of air time. So even if you do throw it over there, you can move your hand and, you know, throw it over here, you can move your hand and catch it, you've got plenty of time, which is a really good thing about this throw. So that was part one. Okay, so I just wanted to go over a few pointers about the styling of this flourish, and you know, how to make it look better. It's like little things that I do, kind of just little knacky movements within the flourish that make it look better and will hopefully help you make yours look better. So in the left hand, it's pretty basic. It's just, I would consider it part of that flourish. So I don't just do the bullet like that. I know I went over this already, but I turn my hand face down as I'm doing it, and I proper stretch these fingers out. So it just really exaggerates that movement and makes it a lot bigger. And something that I think is quite important, which a lot of people probably wouldn't even pick up on, but it makes a difference to me, is when you're taking this card from the top to the bottom, you don't just, you know, it's not just some boring movement. It's actually quite a big movement, and instead of just dragging the card straight off like this, I actually push it forward, kind of like at a diagonal angle, pulling the packet down with my little finger, and then slide it on like that, rather than square. So it kind of is this sort of outward motion. So you end up with this kind of effect. It just looks a lot nicer than, you know, if you're looking at your flourish and it looks like that. That's what you need to do to improve it. In the right hand, they're very subtle things that I do, but again, I feel that it makes a big difference to the whole style of the flourish when you're looking back at it. So I execute the flourish like this, and when I get to this point here where I've got my first finger and my third finger on my middle finger, I do this kind of movement. So I remember seeing Zach Mueller doing a tutorial for his flourish, and he does this thing where he kind of does that, and it's that but kind of not as exaggerated. So I push down on my third finger and my first finger and kind of swivel the card around like this. So I push down and around and kind of paddle it on my middle finger, and I'm just moving my hand just a little bit synchronized with this movement. So I push down my third finger and I turn my hand just a little bit to the right, and then I move my hand to the left and I push down my first finger, which just gives this really flowy move. So when I'm in the middle of my flourish, it just gives it a nice little, you know, little something extra, which just makes it look good. The other thing that I do is I turn my hand face up when I get to this point here, so to have my hand properly face up, I'm not, you know, like this. You've got to flow the movements of the twirl with your hand. There's lots of sort of wrist action going on that I probably couldn't even go over most of it, but if you just sort of do what feels natural, do you know what I mean? Turn, so if you're doing a pivot, if you turn your hand as well, that, all I'm doing there is that, but when you turn your hand as well, it just creates so much more movement, which makes it look a lot better. So turn my hand face up, and I like to keep my fingers stretched out as well. Well, that's just kind of how I learnt it, but I'll always have my fingers really stretched out as I'm doing it. The last thing is just with the throw. So I move my hands really far apart. Well, actually, I say the last thing. As I'm doing the flourish, the movement of my hands, I move my hands around as I'm doing it, so it just makes it bigger. It's not, you know, I don't keep my hands really close together. It's not, you know, it's this whole big flowy movement. And as I go to do the throw, I move my hands further apart, which just makes it bigger and a lot more visually impressive for the spectator. So don't, you know, you wanna either throw it up or move your hands apart, and I do this, really make it into a big event, just so that it looks better. So that's my final tips, styling tips on that flourish. I'm going to release part 2 as a separate video later on, so if you like this video, just leave a nice comment or a like, and look out for part 2 coming really soon in the future. Thanks, guys.